Okay, I'm going to let you into the Lumiose Museum in just a moment, and we're going to explore over 50 different relics and artifacts and pieces of art that expand the world of Pokemon, tell new stories, and act as fundamental building blocks toward new Pokemon theories. But this video is going to be a bit different. As you can already tell, it's over an hour and a half long, because it's mostly me having a chat with another Pokemon historian friend of mine. If you're thinking, Pokemon historian? Is that a real job? No, it's not. However, much like yourself, fellow Pokemon lore enthusiast, there are those of us on YouTube who are more than a little bit obsessed. So I'd like to introduce and welcome to the channel for the first time, Amazed Dragon. We're actually already working on a bigger collaboration video that's far more densely edited than this about the lore of Mega Evolution, but we couldn't wait to talk about this. We spent nearly 2 hours in a call today going around the Lumiose Museum and exploring every single one of those relics, talking about what we thought it meant and how it expanded the world of Pokemon. And so for the rest of this video, you can treat us as your sort of guided tour around the Lumiose Museum. Chill out, play some Pokemon Legends EA at the same time. And if you've got any thoughts on what we're discussing, we'd love to hear it in the comments. Also, Amazed Dragon, if you don't know, this is the first time introducing him to the channel, is an incredible creator who started this year. In nearly 6 months, he's hit over 35,000 subscribers. He's had his first million view video, and I personally love all of his videos. If there's ever been a Pokemon lore channel that I think you will enjoy, I know you will love. If you like what I make, check out his channel. It's linked in the description. There are so many videos worth watching. And so including this video, I don't think you're going to be short for entertainment. Well, yeah, so welcome back to the Lumiose Museum. To anyone listening, I'm sat here right now with the wonderful Amazed Dragon. You've been here a bunch, right?
Yes. All lore. It's filled with lore, and now we can talk about it.
I know. We actually haven't spoken about this much because I've been eager to not go in without talking to you first, because I think we're both going to be very excited about what's in here. So we've only sort of briefly talked about it. If anyone hasn't been to the Lumiose Museum, it's North Boulevard, just northwest of Wild Area 3 and 4. So head on up, go on in, experience it for yourself. But then you can sort of just treat us as your sort of, I guess, museum guides. We're both big Pokemon lore enthusiasts. We've both done a lot of videos on this, so I thought it would be fun for us to kind of just come to the museum together. I kind of wish we could be in some kind of multiplayer where you could be in the museum with me. I think that would be super cool.
Yeah, like in Scarlet and Violet. That was fun. It'd
be nice to be in the world with you. Anything you want to bring up just coming in the door, other than obviously there's a Hisui exhibit going on, which is super cool.
I mean, the entrance is extremely similar to the one in X and Y, which is nice that they kept it. I mean, it's 3D now, and we can actually see the dimensions, but the only thing that's changed is, of course, the Hisuian map, which will go up into a bit more.
I guess when we get to the Hisui exhibit. Did you, when you first came in, did you first go left or right? I went right, so that's where I'm taking you. Yeah. All right, that's the correct way then. That's the way we'll go. I figure let's start over. And by the way, I'll put up some comparisons when they're necessary for the 3DS Lumiose Museum, because we've got that open as well. This is actually in that game though. We just saw this off screen. Me and Amazed Dragon, we had a look around. And this is a bit of artwork that's in there. And who's that? Who's that?
That's Mew.
It's gotta be.
Interestingly enough, this was painted about 80 years ago, as the picture's description says.
Right. Which is probably the 19, I guess 40s of the Pokemon world, 1930s, 1940s time, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Depending on
sadly,
when this is happening.
We don't have any game that's running during that time period. It's technically between, I guess, far between Legends Arceus and Generation 1, if that's the earliest.
But it's cute, though. I like the idea of, people settling down, and they're just, hanging out with this Mew that's just there. These 3 paintings, I have nothing to say about. I want to get to the juicy stuff. I have nothing to say about those 3. Do you have anything to say about these 3?
Not much more than you would. I mean, these are obviously new with the Serena up front.
Oh, true. That was not in XY. That was definitely not in XY.
Couldn't have been. I mean, it'd be interesting if it was, but it wasn't. Otherwise, I think it's just an addition to the old art pieces, so that it's not all just reused. But still, all of them are super interesting.
I think with these 3, they're all specifically artworks that take inspiration from real life artworks. Like I think the Diancie is probably the most recognizable. I think there's a real world artwork of, and I don't know her name, and I should, but I'm not in the art world. It's like a lady looking over her shoulder, and it's quite a famous bit of artwork, but not famous enough that I would know the name.
Pearl?
I think so. Yeah.
Pearl necklace, I think.
Pearl and diamonds.
I'm not well versed in art.
Diamond and pearl, confirmed. But it's funny because I think it was standing next to this photo. The far more interesting painting and the first big artifact to talk about is going to be that one. But before we do, there is also this glittering cave. Beautiful artwork here, and you only know it's glittering cave because this guy says so. Otherwise, it's not actually clear. Just as a dark and narrow cave. Its eerie light is a plant called luminous moss. This work is part of a series depicting sceneries that inspired overseas artists while they were traveling in Kalos. Which I actually have an idea of who that could be, if you do. I don't know.
I don't, but I have another, I guess, fun fact on the side.
Oh, yeah?
The glittering cave was actually said by Junichi Masuda that it was based on the catacombs in Paris, if I remember right.
Oh, okay.
So I guess we kind of got the catacombs in this game with the sewer system, but not really. Still, nice addition.
Yeah, I think everyone's clamoring for that like catacombs thing, and maybe Pokemon was like, we've already done it. No, the idea of an overseas artist, I've always thought could very much, there's a bit of lore there about like Mina, because Mina and Ilma, so Mina's the Alolan trial captain, she's friends with Ilma, who has been to Kalos, and in Kalos there's the Revire Walk, which is everyone on that route is the artist trainer class, and Ilma and Mina have both gone, I believe, traveling there, and the thing with Ilma is that they've got a Smeargle, which is also only exclusively used by the artist trainer class in the Kalos games, and that it would make more sense if Mina had it, but she doesn't, because she's not. So there's like some kind of friendship there, there's some kind of relationship. I did a video on it a long time ago. But okay, juicy stuff, big stuff. What were you first thinking and feeling when you saw this?
That it's not at all Pokemon-like until I read the description.
Wait, you've seen this before though, right? Do you know where this is from?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is,
This was...
Go on.
If I remember right, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this I've seen before in... Oh, that's... I just lost the name of it. The Perfume Palace, I think. Yeah,
Perfume Palace. This is there. And what's special about that is that the palace was built 300 years ago. And the painting, I think it's famously like inspired by one of King Louis XIV, who is sort of partly the inspiration for AZ. But what's interesting about AZ here is that in the games, when you click on the painting in X and Y, if you've beaten the games, it says, kind of looks like AZ or something along those lines. Like I'll throw up an image on screen. But what's really fascinating is that's led me to believe, and a lot of people in the theory community to believe, that Parfume Palace is one of the many castles that belong to AZ, which is strange because it was built 300 years ago. And it has all these, I mean, you must know from the Parfume Palace, like there's a ton of ties to other things and statues and stuff I think I've seen in your videos.
Yeah, there's, if I just go over them very quickly, one of them, which I'm sure some of you will recognize, is that there's a guy on the second floor, I believe, who talks about Hoopa. There is the statues from the Lake Trio, for example. There is the Reshiram and Zekrom, of course, in the back. And then there's also the statue of a Golurk with a bunch of other Pokemon, which you'll see again in another picture.
Yeah, that's going to come up again.
A bunch of different things from a bunch of different regions. It's really interesting.
Whoever owned that castle is very important. And so I've thought, well, I guess it's AZ. I guess AZ came back to rule at some point. I've even said it in videos this year. And then I think what's really interesting is when we click this, it tells us, it expands the lore, like, pretty dramatically. This piece was long believed to have been a portrait of a king from 3,000 years ago. Yeah, AZ, and that's what we long believed. Painted by an artist who lived after his time. Oh, okay, so maybe the palace was never AZ's, but it was painted by an artist of AZ for whoever owned the palace. However, recent research has lent support to the theory that this painting in fact depicts a descendant of the king's younger brother. From this, we can surmise that the royal line maintained a degree of power through the ages, which is like a big lore drop to have like this early into the museum. And there's so much more coming on the next floor. But for me, what I got from that is, so obviously we know that Lysander is a descendant of the king's younger brother, to whom he went to war with, and who the Great War was with. But the idea that Lysander, the reason he has team flair and is the kind of technocrat that he is, and that he is able to have access to such wealth and influence over the region, is literally because he comes from this lineage that even 300 years ago was building new ornate golden palaces. And so there's been like a long multi-generational 3,000 year long, I guess, control from this one family.
Interestingly enough, if this is the owner of the Parthian Palace, because it is down this lineage, then this picture would be around 300 years old, which then makes me think, because this palace was also built after a certain war that Kalos had. It was never specified with who.
Oh, was it? Was there
we'll later see.
Okay. Was there a war 300 years ago? Sorry to interrupt, but was there a war?
Yeah, no, there was. If I rack my brain with the Parthian Palace, I think it said there was the war 300 years ago. A luxurious palace constructed 300 years ago by a king who wished to display his power to all. Unless I'm remembering something here. Oh. There was something in there. It wasn't exactly in the map's description, but there was something, I'm not sure what, but it references to Kalos having fought a war with a neighboring country also 300 years ago, which is something from a long time ago. So I'm not sure where that came from. I'd have to look into it. But there was something related to that. If anyone else has an idea on it, feel free to let us know. But this is something that you should take with a grain of salt, as this just comes from the depths of my memory.
Okay, all right. But hit me then. What were you thinking then before I interrupted you there?
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's all. With the war, and then, yeah.
Okay, so 300 years ago, maybe a war. We'll find out. But definitely.
Well, yeah. I mean, after the war, the palace was presumably built because it's
built as a display of power, right? That's what the map description says. So this person very much wants to show off, which they do with their ornate stuff. What do we think the brooch is, by the way?
Looks like a beetle. First thing looking into it.
That is.
I mean, that's just me thinking of it. Unless it could be a computer mouse, if you're looking at it that way too.
I don't think that's feeling that might be wrong. It's a good theory, but not the kind of theories.
It could be right.
We get from you make better theories than that. In this section, we've got like a whole exhibit to the Tower of Mastery and Mega Evolution and the origins of Mega Evolution in Kalos. You got anywhere you want to start in particular? Anything that kind of piques your interest?
Let's go right. That one is pretty interesting to look at first, I think.
Well, for me, because is that who I think it is?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the sprite's exactly the same, and based on the sprite, I think that's Calum.
I think that's the player, which is really interesting to think that the idea is that this painting was being like done by someone in X and Y. Wouldn't it be fascinating? Wouldn't it be so fascinating if I'm going to load up X and Y later, and if in the Tower of Mastery in the base, there's an artist just painting like a trainer class or something nearby. That would actually be really cool. But
that would bring it round full circle.
I'm probably about to disappoint every viewer watching. But yeah, I totally think so.
Nothing but a wall.
Maybe Kalim returned after becoming the hero of Kalos. What does it say? It says, Tower of Mastery stands to the north of Shalor City. 2 strange stones were once discovered in this area, which are now thought to have been the first known Megastone and Keystone. Any kind of thoughts on that?
I mean, another thought on, I guess, Calum being there, right? Is that he's the only person there. right? And if I remember correctly, our player character was never really there alone unless we, of course, chose to do so. The only person that was, I think, was, I guess, our rival. I'm just thinking, who is the canonical main character? Because Pokemon doesn't usually like to bring back, I guess, the player characters in future generations or mention them at all, except for Red and now Calum, as well as we'll see in a bit another player character. So it's interesting that they're doing it now of all times. And it makes me think about who exactly is, I guess, the rival and who was, I guess, us in this scenario.
Who's intended as the kind of canonical player. Because you're right, they don't like to kind of linger on a particular person. I remember that Lucario statue from the Tower of Mastery. Yeah, like you've been to the Tower of Mastery and got Mega Evolution. Maybe she does. Maybe she's got a Mega Stone. Secret boss battle.
A lot of people do here.
A lot of people do. To be fair, a lot of trainers here. It was funny because as I was looking at this, Phoebe sort of said to me, she went, "Yeah, but none of us in this game did that." And I sort of went, "Oh, yeah, you're right." No one does.
Maybe these hand them out like candies. You never know.
That's it. The giant Mega Lucario statue stands within the Tower of Mastery. In order to directly view its face, one must climb to the second floor of the tower. Within the base of the statue is a room that only successors or related personnel can enter, which obviously is referring to Gherkin and Karina in, I guess, in the XY games. But if we want a nice closer look at it, badass. Right there.
Of course, a replica.
A replica.
Not the real thing.
Yes, because the real thing would be far, far bigger. Does it say it's a replica? I think it does. Yeah, this is a replica. The original statue was created to commemorate the fact that Lucario was the first Pokemon to ever Mega Evolve in the Kalos region. We're working right now, you and I, on a big Mega Evolution lore video. And I think this is just like a nice bit of text for them to add to just like confirm for people that, yeah, it's the first known Mega Evolution in Kalos. That does not mean it's the first known Mega Evolution anywhere. And in fact, there's an NPC somewhere else in the game who I think mentions that it first happened in Hoenn, or that it was discovered in Hoenn, or something like that. I'll try and flash that up on the screen. I think a viewer sent that to me, which is very, very cool. Badass, though. Very badass. This kid also knows. Lucario was the first Pokemon to ever be Mega Evolved in the Kalos region, right? They really want you to know now, I think.
Yeah, they clarified, which is nice that they did, because it was left open for, well, ever since X and Y was released, and confused quite a few people, myself included, on when I started to write a lore piece about Mega Evolution. But it's nice that they clarified it finally. It simplifies things.
Do you think, and I guess this ties into the next painting really, really well, a shining stone that emitted great warmth was discovered. The Tower of Mastery was built to house and protect the stone. To this day, the successor of Mega Evolution carries on the legend of the mysterious stone. Now, that legend, as we learn about in X and Y, is the legend that a long time ago, a trainer found the first Mega Stone in Keystone and performed the first Mega Evolution with a Lucario. Do you think it was AZ? Do you think that was the intention, or do you think that doesn't really line up? Because I'm still not sure. I have no idea whether it's supposed to be or not.
I don't think so. This was obviously a long time ago, but we're never given the exact date of when this Lucario Mega evolved. But based on AZ's current constitution and his lack of, I guess, ability to battle, I don't know how well he'd handle Mega Evolution, especially in the state where he doesn't even have Floette at his side, where he's, I guess, a bit more unstable. So I'm not sure. I think they might introduce another character, or at least have the opportunity to introduce another character who was this person, or either a successor or someone similar.
I guess we don't really know when Mega Evolution started showing up in Kalos. Like, we actually know a lot about Kalos' history, but not when Mega Evolution started showing up. Because Terra Mastery could be 3,000 years old, it could be 500 years, it could be 200 years. Like, do we have any indication for that, or am I just kind of racking my brains trying to think of something? But I don't think we do.
I don't think there's anything given. I mean, no, as far as I remember, No, there was nothing explicitly stated on when this was built. There was something stated by a person on the fourth floor of the tower, and this is something interesting. Sycamore actually trained at this tower when he was young, but he didn't stay very long because he didn't realize that he has what it takes to use Mega Evolution.
Interesting. But it's really easy. You just need some stones and you press a button. It's really easy. It's interesting.
If only he knew.
I wanted to. The other artwork is just, again, it's more on the exhibit. This one, I have something interesting to say about, but I don't know if I don't want to. If there is anything I missed, do let me know. But this one is the final kind of piece here. Only the chosen may climb the Tower of Mastery. It also requires skill with roller skates to reach the top floor. One must have complete mastery of their own body to become a Mega Evolution user. What do you think I find interesting about that?
I mean, on the top of my head, I immediately think Ivor and his complete talking about mastery of their own body. And when you go into their own dojo, literally everyone there says they need to master their own body so they can support their Pokemon. They need to feel what their Pokemon feels in battle, etc. and so on. And on top of that, I mean, they're both karate, fighting, related like that. They both wear, as far as I remember, Karina also wears very similar gloves to Ivor. So that's just my immediate thought. But based on your reaction, you have something different.
That's really interesting. Like maybe like the Fists of Justice, though, like have spent a lot of time learning from Karina. And it would make sense. I mean, as a Lucario user, that's a really interesting idea. I hadn't thought about that. No, I was just going to say that the tower's probably older than roller skates. That was literally it. Which kind of makes me... But that is also weirdly a lore thing in that, like, it's like, and the roller skates, if you didn't have them, it might have been even harder to get to the top. I don't know how people in the old days would have gotten to the top of the tower. Unless the first Mega Evolution... maybe riding a Pokemon, right? Unless Mega Evolution and Kalos first starts appearing at the same time as roller skates. Should we head up to the next to the main feature exhibit, or should we do the other side of the bottom floor first? What do you think?
I say let's do the other side of the bottom first, get that finished off, and then we can get the whole top done and get all the really interesting parts of the lore.
Okay, we did it. No, so I think there's actually, there's a couple cool bits of artwork here. And all of this artwork, by the way, all of the artwork in this exhibit appears in Pokemon X and Y. Like, it's all in the Lumia's museum. But almost all of it have interesting new details that you can only see now because it's been blown up, like because it's big. Obviously, people are naturally drawn to this one. And a second Mew painting. How nuts. They say a man of power at the time forced the artist to add the mythical Pokemon Mew to spread word of how great he is, which, that's based. I get it. But that Mew...
the long hair immediately makes me think similar to the picture to your left. But I think he's just French.
Yeah, I don't think
that's just it.
A character we're supposed to know. If someone's ever going to come up with a theory on who this guy is and like how this is like Volo in disguise or something, it's us. Like we're going to come up with that theory, so we'll let you
Thanks
all
for the
know.
idea.
No problem. I take 50% on all ad revenue. The old noble.
No, of course.
And it's painted with a rare Pokemon. Who is this guy and what's that Pokemon? Come on, man. It's Mew. It says it right here. Mew. It's Mew.
Some people can't read.
I guess, that's why they come to look at the pictures. We have the Ocean Bay of... Is this, Coromine
This is
City.
Coumarine.
Coumarine, that's it. See, I can't read either, so it's all fine. And Coumarine...
I don't even know if that's rightly pronounced.
Is you're probably more right than me.
First language.
And this is a town that is split in two, right? I think there's like the beachside bit. So this looks out onto the...
Via train, I think, or something.
That's
You
right.
have to
So
go
this
in.
is the bit that
Hmm.
rooks out onto the route, then eventually goes off onto Azure Bay, which is filled with interesting topics of its own. Like Azure Bay has the Sea Spirit's Den, and it's the English coast, and there's like raid dens in the Crown Tundra, and there's the legendary birds in the Crown Tundra, and the legendary birds come to roost in the Sea Spirit's Den. So there's like a whole little theory web there that I've done before. There's also, I think, the guy who gives you Amphrosite is out there, and there's some description of an ancient battle off the coast of here, but nothing that the artwork itself tells us. You got this dude wearing what can very clearly now, and definitely not on the 3DS, be seen as, I guess, like a Japanese sort of samurai armor with this Golurk, right? This is cool.
Yeah, and based on, I guess, similarities, this seems like it would be Sinoan or Hizuian at least,
Do you think?
or that's my first thought. Because I mean, the if I remember right, Johto, Kanto, Hoenn, Sinnoh are based of regions in Japan,
That's right, yeah.
unless I'm reaching. Yeah, and of course this could just be either one of them, but Sinnoh does have a lot of references to Japanese mythology and also clothing style, as we've seen in Hizui. And just this, I have a theory about this picture and another one we'll look at in just a second,
Okay.
that it could be the same person or either an offspring or someone else. But I think it might be the same person, and that would also lead me into something else, which you might be able to guess by now, but just a theory on top of my head.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to, I guess, seeing the video on that whenever that drops. Yeah. It's cool, though. It's a cool armor, and I've not seen the top bit there. Like the top arm, the helmet there, anywhere else in the Pokemon world. I can't think. It's very samurai-esque. But yeah.
It feels like horns from a Pokemon or something. I'm not sure if a Pokemon has that, or unless it's Go-Goat. I'm not sure if Go-Goat has those horns.
That'd be interesting. But
but they do look like
definitely,
Pokemon
you know, Japanese samurai style. Lots of people complaining about the museum itself. There's this one which I think is not crazy interesting. Around the time Parfum Palace was built, 300 years ago, aristocrats who served the king created a unique castles in their territories. Oh, so this work is highly praised as a piece that captures that period of time. So the castles around Kalos that we see, there's like a battle castle on the Revere Walk. There's a couple others around the place. I guess they were largely built by aristocrats of the era of Lysander's ancestor, Azzy's brother's descendant, who built the palace. So that's interesting as well. So maybe like other, is it the Battle Chantaloons? Perhaps they are descendants of people that previously like were buddies with the old king. That's interesting. I actually didn't think there was anything much to this painting, but that's cool. This one is really interesting.
There's another statue.
Right. So here's
And
the other statue.
immediately off the... Yeah, exactly. That's the one I wanted to point out.
Okay.
Another statue with I guess, a different knight. But it could also be the same knight as before.
Well, two different
with
knights, right?
a Golurk.
There's two knights here.
Well, I feel like that's a Pokemon dressed up. Unless that's a
No, I think that's a
very
dude, right?
short man.
I think that's a
I mean,
kid.
if it is a kid, then they were running out of soldiers. Or the person to the right is actually extremely tall. Now, we
Interesting.
do know a few tall people in Pokemon. One
Mm-hmm.
of them, more recently, we met in person. AZ is stated to be, and also seen to be extremely tall. So this could technically be him. I'm not sure how tall Golurk is, so this could just be...
I don't get the
On top of my
impression. I don't get the impression that this person is exceptionally tall. I get the impression that this is a short person. I'm wondering, of course, about brothers. I'm wondering about a younger brother and an older brother. Golurk, Palpitoad. I'm not sure what's down in the bottom left here. Whether that's anything.
Oshawott?
Oshawott, you think?
Oshawott and Turtwig, isn't it?
I guess I could kind of see that, but I'm not 100% sure there. Definitely Petalil on the shoulder as well, hidden in there. It's interesting. It's interesting. But what interested me is, now you mentioned earlier that the Lake Trio are in the decorations of the Parfum Palace. And there's these Uxie statues, right? I do not remember seeing them in game. I just don't remember seeing them at all. And maybe that was just me blanking it, but like I thought like, oh wow, that's so cool that the art now allows us to appreciate these details that like this artwork existed in XY, but this was absolutely being lost in the pixel art. There's like just no way anyone was seeing that, you know?
100%. I maybe they were the statues themselves. They were in the game, but like even when you were there in person, it was
the camera angle doesn't
extremely
allow.
difficult to tell, and the camera angle exactly. You can't adjust it like we can do now here in ZA. Which, by the way, the vertical camera angle is insane. You can look up and down like almost 180 degrees.
Yeah.
Or 90 degrees, not 180. That would bend your back.
A statue that celebrates cooperation between Pokemon and people stands in the courtyard. This work is part of a series depicting sceneries that inspired overseas artists while they're traveling in Kalos. Okay. This is what I wanted to talk about, though, because this is in X and Y, but there is something wrong with this. Do you know what it is?
Oh,
There is something wrong with this image of Levere City. Now, again, it's been done by an artist, so it's like it's an artist who was inspired from traveling abroad. But there is something wrong with this image. And in the comment section, by the way, if you are 30 minutes into this video, and we've not even done the Hisui exhibit yet, which is the most exciting thing ever. First of all, leave a comment down below what you think is wrong with this. Also, make sure you're subscribed to both me and Amaze Dragon. We both do Pokemon lore videos. You've just done an amazing video on the Therian forms and the forces of nature, but you also did a video about Volo, which I think is going to become relevant very, very soon when we get upstairs to the big stuff. But yeah, so make sure you're subscribed. Links will all be in the description. But let me know in the comments, what do you think is wrong with this? Do you know, Amaze Dragon, what's wrong with this?
No. You're going to have to tell me.
Infamously, Levere City's clock has 13 hours on it. It's a 13-hour clock because it's to do with the hour of the fairy. It's like a weird bit of mysticism. And so if you go to Levere City, it's like kind of hard to miss that it's a 13-hour clock. So it's really interesting that this image doesn't. But what's interesting is because this image was in Pokemon X and Y, it probably was the case that the artist in the real world who drew this just drew a 12-hour clock not knowing that fact. But now it's been blown up. Or now it's been allowed, because I think it's the same image, just like I think the image was decompressed or whatever, or compressed, I don't know, for X and Y, and now we're able to enjoy it fully. We're actually seeing the error of the artist here, but I think that's really, really interesting. Man, we've spoken more about art than I feel like we have about the relics, which we're about to go upstairs and start seeing. Are we saving the Hisui exhibit till after? I think, but I think the next bit's pretty short. To be fair, I think.
Yeah, it's nothing too big.
There's nothing too huge here. First of all, these are the Wand Company Pokeballs. You can buy them for $100 a piece. But
not sponsored.
Not sponsored. But it's very interesting to me that you've got the Master Ball just out on display. I think that's really, really interesting. There's just one.
It might be a model. Otherwise, like. I mean, obviously, it's not really based on real Paris, but it would be gone, the Master Ball. I would take it.
So, of course, right, like, who's not pocketing that? And obviously...
There's not even a case around it.
This is true. And, like, imagine, like, picking up, like, the nice Master Ball and swapping it out with your own, like... Pokeball with some stickers on it or something. But obviously this is all to celebrate the Pokeball factory, which is like just an interesting thing that it's weird that we haven't seen any others in any other regions. The factory that makes Pokeballs and ships them all over the Kalos region. So it doesn't even say all over the world. Like, this is just the Kalos region's factory, which is interesting. Kalos and the ever-increasing number of Pokeballs that expresses the artist's desires to be connected to all Pokemon. I wonder if anyone's working on any new kind of Pokeballs. I hope that's a hint. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, this is kind of
already, but
the technology section. Have you got any kind of thoughts on the Pokeballs other than them being really cool?
I mean, not really. We're going to see some more Pokeballs in a second, but
it says replicas.
It would be nice, I think. I think it would be nice for replicas. Yeah, otherwise they'd be gone. It would be nice if they add some more, as you said. But currently, I lean towards luxury balls as my preferred one. There was a time where I tried to use a different Pokeball for every single one based on the Pokemon I catch with, but that's a lot of work. But I'm getting off track here. Yeah, Pokeballs. It'd be nice if they had more.
This is
But
interesting.
so far, there isn't anything lore attached to it.
They don't have the Beast Ball in here, which is just interesting. You know, the Beast Ball does exist by the time of these games, but it is a very rare it's a very rare Pokeball, and obviously designed for a very particular function. I think it would actually be quite strange if they had the Beast Ball, and actually, while I'm at it, the Strange Ball as well wouldn't really make sense. Cherish Ball also are missing.
GS Ball here?
There's not the GS Ball. So I think that speaks to the rarity and the exceptionalism of those Pokeballs, which is cool. Very, very cool.
It could even be that these Pokeballs were created by one company, the one that presumably also owns the Pokeball factory, and they're all under one, I guess, copyright. So they are able to present their Pokeballs here. But as we know, the Beast Ball is owned by the Aether Foundation instead.
Right.
And I guess they didn't allow for their Pokeball to be
part of the exhibit.
here.
Which makes sense. Yeah. No, I like that. We also have this incredible hologram 3-dimensional map of Lumio City created using the hard holotech. Which, yeah, has lots of just cool images of Lumios. I mean, to be fair, if we wanted to explore this exhibit, we would just go back outside the museum, and that's not what we're here for. We also have, there's a whole series of painting of power plants in Kalos. So all of these are power plants in Kalos, and we recognize the artwork of many of these from Pokemon X and Y. Like, these are in the museum, but interestingly, one of them is not. One of them is not in the museum. One of them didn't make it in. And obviously, these are all the power plant that went unexplored in the Badlands. These two both use fire to generate electricity. Part of a series. And there's like a little dude there as well, actually, in the painting. There's like a little guy just on the end of a.
That's lava. He's being, yeah, not safe.
It's very
I think that's the best
Mustafar,
word
isn't
for
it? It's very Star Wars.
Yeah.
I feel like I've.
I was going to say, interestingly enough, with these power plants, if you take a look at them as a whole, they're each based on renewable energy.
Right, so we got fire,
and
wind,
We
solar.
got thermal, exactly.
Are these thermal, are they?
We
This
got,
is
biogas,
gas. Right, cool.
biogas, which is also renewable, as it's not actual like gas beneath the earth. As far as I know, I'm not an expert on gas. Yeah, and then I believe the solar one wasn't in X and Y. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
but
no, I think not. I think that's the one that's kind of new as of the time of this, which it could be that this existed in the time of X and Y, but I have no reason to think so. So this plant gathers sunlight in space in order to generate electricity, which, you know, doesn't tell us a lot. There are space stations. Obviously, there's the Moss Deep space station. Whether that's like they have a counterpart in the sky, we don't know. But, you know, satellites certainly exist in the world of Pokemon, but this is pretty cool. There's like a whole space plant going on that generates solar, and this maybe didn't exist in the time of XY, which maybe shows a progression of technology between the two, or maybe they just didn't have room for this painting last time. But yeah, really, really interesting. And yeah, all renewable. It's nice to see they're going for a lovely future. That's really bothering me. Look, all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these are in frames.
That one's vertical.
That one's vertical. You saw it at the same time I did.
That one's vertical.
What
I
a
know.
nuisance.
When you zoom out.
Let's get out of here. Okay, so the bit that everyone's been waiting for, only nearly 40 minutes in. Welcome to the Hisui exhibit. I actually came into this. I'm coming into this from reverse, but I think, to be fair, saving the best to last. We've got this cool little map of the Hisui region, which is obviously like promo art of the game, but it's so cool to see it in a game.
Extremely high res.
It's nice. It's really cool. Depicting the Cornet Highlands, and it's very different from modern Sinnoh region. The geography itself as accurately shown, as it's believed that the surveyor viewed the area from above while riding a flying Pokemon. We can only assume that's a Braviary, I would have thought.
It's interesting that it says that the fear of Pokemon had lessened and life had stabilized by this time now. When, if I remember in Hisui, that the fear hadn't fully lessened. Of course, it lessened to an extent of before we arrived in Hisui. But it could be that this is either an exaggeration of what was remembered in the past, or it might be a misremembrance of mine, because I remember the alpha Pokemon back then, and they were not nice to me.
Sure.
So,
But
this
I
could just be on
also
me.
I wonder if this could just be like a maybe this is depicting the time at the end of Legends EA, like Legends Arceus, like after we've left the game, our impacts on the world. Maybe it just means that people start to travel and connect more. Maybe that's what we're seeing here, which is really cute if that's the case. Okay.
Yeah, after the space-time rifts close, no.
Artifacts and art. What do you want? Hisui is an ancient name for a distant region. The people there are greatly feared Pokemon. It seems that the old survey work really led to people and Pokemon better understanding one another. Yeah, hell yeah. And of course, we start here with Pokeballs of the Hisui region. People of the time crafted their own Pokeballs using apricorns and the mineral tumblestone. Many varieties are said to be crafted, each displaying different properties depending on what materials were used. Crafting one's own Pokeballs in the modern age would be a true labor of love, given the difficulty, which, you know, obviously suggests that companies like the Pokeball Factory have automated this process to a pretty dramatic degree. We can see that the Pokeballs themselves are actually a lot bigger, I think, than the ones over there, like the replica models.
Yeah, by a lot. I think twice the size when it comes to mass itself.
There was a moment while playing this game,
on their end.
I was so hopeful that someone in the museum here was going to give us some of these. I was like, oh, whoa.
Yeah, I know.
That would be so cool.
I know. But no, they're all replicas. They're not real.
It's very sad. But obviously, it's a weird one because I always was under the impression, because of the apricorns and the tumblestone, that the kind of, where are they? I'm coming for you. The Kurt Pokeballs, these ones, were all sort of crafted in a similar fashion. But I suppose, while he is one of the kind of greater smiths, that even what Kurt makes is just more akin to what the factories produce now than the Pokeballs of ancient times, which are these, you know, beauties right here. And they are gorgeous. I really want these Pokeballs to reappear again in the future. And of course, what we don't see here is the mighty Origin Ball, which I can't imagine for a second would be... well, actually, it would make sense in a museum, but yeah, that would have been cool.
But I mean, you know, there was a slightly special Pokemon inside that they probably couldn't
keep it locked up. We then have these sketches from Professor Lavington of a bunch of Pokemon, and I think we know they're from Lavington because it says so. His original Pokedex was long assumed to be lost until a partial facsimile was found in the shed of a private house in the Sinnoh region. This discovery helped advance the studies of Professor Lavington and the Pokedex he created. His work has been reevaluated in recent years, with a particular appreciation for his accurate sketches of Pokemon and his gift for capturing Pokemon's quirks within his skillful descriptions. It is said that his Pokedex was not in fact completed by Lavington himself, but as a mysterious 15-year-old youth who appeared out of nowhere one day. Lots to break down there.
Theory on that?
Please.
You want to hear my theory on what shed that is?
The building, where his Pokedex was found? Shed? Yeah.
I think it's Kogita's shed. Because, I mean, I've theorized on it before, which you can hear more about in my Volo video, by the way. I theorized that Kogita is at least having a longer lifespan, partially due to her, when she grants the player Enamorus, saying that she'll, in a sense, get Enamorus back one day after, I guess, we can no longer keep Enamorus by us, which certainly strongly infers that after we pass away, Enamorus will go back to Kogita. But obviously she's already older than us, so unless we're gonna get into some accident, exactly, we'll outlive her. Or we won't outlive her, she will outlive us.
Yeah, sorry, my brain and mouth were not in synchronous coordination there. No, I agree. So you think that what because the Celestica's, like, the old retreat becomes Celestic Town, right? And there is like a sort of shrine in the middle of that. Do you think that's the shed being spoken about, or is there? Because she's in more of a tent, isn't she? I don't know. Maybe it means that. I don't know.
I think it's a tent covered. It's a shed covered up by a tent. Okay. If I have the image right in my head.
Okay.
But it would make sense if these were recovered from that shed, or at least from when they started making Celestic Town, or creating it.
Makes
that
sense.
they took these sketches or this remains of a Pokedex that Kogita presumably then took from Laventon, as he
Yeah.
also passed away. Which actually, with this whole Kogita thing, I have something to add on to in just a second when we get to it. But I presume that she took it from him then and then stored it in her shed. Of course, we don't know where she went then, because obviously she wasn't in the shed anymore, or maybe she
Sure.
did pass away and only had a longer lifespan. We don't know. But it would make sense for her then to take Laventon's and the player's life work and, I guess, preserve it in a sense.
I think what's really interesting about it is that like it had to have been moved from the Galaxy Expedition team headquarters, and the reason I say that is I believe that Jubilife Village becomes Canalife City, because at the very beginning they say, oh, this place is known as Canal Avenue, and if you look at the map, it lines up more with Canalife than it does with where Jubilife City becomes. So I think City is grown next to the village, and the old village becomes Canalife. I think that makes total sense for me. And then the Galaxy Expedition headquarters, I think, is what becomes the library, like the library, which is a hub of, information. But it would make sense then, it would surely would be the case that actually Lavington would have, if the Pokedex was kept there, it would have been ingested into the library. Even if it was Jubilife City, which I really don't think was the case. Again, like it would make sense, given all of the, I guess, like big corporations that are there, that I guess something as important as that original Pokedex to be like cherished there. So definitely, I think the Pokedex was moved out of Lavington's Pokedex was moved away from Jubilife Village, at least. As to where it ended up, yeah, maybe Kogita's retreat makes sense. Yeah,
That would be my first thought. That's what I thought when I read it. Of course, it could have been a different shed as well. There are quite a few sheds in the Pokemon world.
Yeah, and I'm going to be looking through, I'm sure, like Sinnoh. I mean, I'm glad it specifies Sinnoh, because otherwise I'd be looking everywhere. There is actually another thought to do with Sinnoh, which is that in oh gosh, I have to remember this now. So Hop in Pokemon Sword and Shield has in his bedroom the Krogunk statue that appears in Pastoria town in Sinnoh, because it's believed that Laventon is the ancestor of Hop and Leon, given his Britishisms and Galarianisms and his general look, which is fine. But it also means that, like, there might be, maybe there's like an interesting building in Pastoria that I want to go look into that I think could be, that could be a thing. That same Krogunk statue, actually, oddly enough, also shows up. It's not the same one, it's not the wooden one, but there's a stone one that shows up outside the Rust Syndicate headquarters in this game as well, actually. But we'll move on, because there's more exhibit to do. I think we're in the kind of, we're coming towards the most exciting bit, and I think there's like loads here that's super interesting and is going to inform a ton of theories we do down the line. But we've just got the kind of general look of an interior of a standard house in Jubilife, sparsely furnished. Phoebe said, wouldn't it be interesting if one of them was found with the Rotom appliances in, like a random fridge, like in ancient times? The hairdresser, who obviously is Azaru, am I saying it right? Arezu, that's it.
I think so. I think that's right.
In Hisui is often regarded as one of scarcity. Residents were able to live in relative comfort by befriending Pokemon, as well as by using gathered materials to craft items. The hairdresser also seemed to host salons, with some residents gathering to play a game known as Go at the establishment. I don't know what this game known as Go is. Is it a Pokemon Go reference, or is it? I feel like I missed something in
I was
Hisui.
going to ask you that question. I thought I missed something there. I guess it's a reference to Pokemon Go.
Maybe someone in the comments is going to be like, no, guys, in Legends Arceus, like, there's the Go minigame. Like, what are you talking about? But
they called it Tag Go back then.
Maybe that's it.
Very obvious.
The training grounds, a space where this one's so interesting, right? A space where Galaxy Expedition team members hone their skills for battling using Pokemon they had caught. It's worth noting that while Pokemon were still regarded as terrifying creatures at the time, there are records of a man named Ingo providing guidance in the ways of Pokemon battle. But it is said that he simply vanished one day after stating It's time for me to return. I choked up when I first saw this. I don't know how you felt, but Ingo's gone home.
I'm happy he got back. I'm ecstatic that his story actually got a finishing end, and that he didn't just remain in the past.
Yeah.
But it also brings up the question of what happened to our own character. I mean, the obvious answer would be he just passed away in ancient Hisui, but I mean, it could also very well be that he was brought back to the future after he was done.
Maybe. And also, how did Emmett get back? They just disappeared one day after saying, what, it's time for me to return? Like, how would they have gotten back? I mean, that would be an interesting theory of its own. So I like the idea that he's got back, but I think how he got back is going to be a wonderful source of, like, you know, inspiration theories and video ideas. And I hope if we investigate Legends games in the future, we get more cross ties between all of them in this kind of way. Like, I think this is a beautiful way to do it. We got a shop. I don't remember much about the shop, to be honest. I don't got lots to say on the shop. It's a shop.
It's an old shop from the past, you know.
It's neat. I mean, it says a model reproduction of a general store. The general store is believed to have played a central role in providing supplies for the settlers. There are records of other enterprises as well, such as a clothier, photography studio. Yes, there are. I wonder if they've got that photo of Verlo and Togepi. anything weird like that. And then just a whole assortment of like general goods. I mean, we've got the only thing really to note here are these like they're like reproductions of Pokemon berries. And oh, that's interesting. Hang on, I had not seen that.
I haven't either. I haven't zoomed in on it. They look like Pokeballs, Pokeball berries, I presume.
Wait, are Pokeball berries a thing in Legends Arceus?
I don't know, unless it's like a Voltorb berry or something.
I don't. They're not apricorns, or they don't fit the description of apricorns and how apricorns look. They do just look like minified Hisuian Pokeballs. I wonder, I wonder if that's a thing that we missed somewhere in. It's interesting. Life around Julo in the settlement, fields established to grow crops. Beyond its walls, the beach where the settlers first came ashore. As more people were surveyed and the area was developed, so too did the population grow. It said that the Pokemon they befriended helped with various tasks such as farming. So that doesn't say anything about these.
Do you think those are leper berries? No, the leper berries are to the left. The small ones.
Yeah, no, those are leper berries. But what's interesting is these are probably, for the sake of the museum, model reproductions of the food that was eaten at the time. But is interesting because it's the same food that people eat today in the Pokemon world. So it's just you know. But this is cool. You can see the crop fields that the ancestor to Gardenia did a lot of planting in the game. Obviously, a very familiar layout of the world of Legends Arceus. The shore that you wash up at, and hey, maybe that's the shed. You know, maybe
could be the shed.
Maybe that's the shed.
Honestly,
it's just a rogue shed.
That's a shed
where Lavington found us. Honestly, could be. I wonder. Again, legendary shed. I wonder the things that happened in that shed. Whoa, better left out of the museum. And then there's this cool little area. And you can't see it in very high resolution, but actually in the games, there's two different Magikarps that hang from the ceilings. That are in there. There's like two different models of different types of Magikarps. It's really interesting. And I think I've seen in a Hoops and Hip Hop video maybe implied that there was supposed to be another Magikarp form, but there's nothing crazy interesting about this stuff. We're about to get into, though, I think, the most interesting stuff. Like
100%.
The stuff that we're going to be talking in. We're about to be talking about in video after video after video. I've already done a video on one of them. There's already a video out on one of the ones, I think. Apparently all this stuff is either borrowed or modern replicas. Okay. But yes, absolutely. Potato mochi. The most interesting thing. I forgot there was this line of stuff here. We've got the potato mochi, which obviously was made by the, I forget what his name was. The ninja guy.
Would you like to, I'm not sure what his name was, but would you like to know a little thing about, before we move on past the mochi?
Oh, yeah?
Something interesting about the text from there. And that's something just hit me like a truck, because it's exactly something I talked about in my Volo video. This line about like this recipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is an old verse which we find one of the old verses. It's old verse 13
What?
specifically.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Whoa, hang on. There's actually lore about the mochi. What the hell? Okay, hang on.
There is lore about the mochi.
Please read me the old verse that is about the proverb to do with this mochi. Oh, also, I totally forgot to mention, obviously, mochi is a huge part of, rice mochi is a huge part of the world of Kitakami and obviously the, Petron DLC and all that stuff. But sorry, do go on.
Yeah, so I will read the original one, and you can go on based on the one in ZA here, and we'll see if it's the same one or if they maybe omitted a part of it. But I do know that it is exactly word by word.
Okay.
The text from old verse 13. So it goes, sootfoot, humble root, harvest it and peel it, broiled, baked, or steamed will do. Just let nobody steal it.
Yep, word for word.
Mash the root, then knead the mash, then once more heat it over. Grill it only till it browns, use ember, not flamethrower. Now hearken well and listen closely, the wise adore potato mochi. A day spent eating all in reach, is no day wasted, if you ask me.
So that last bit was left out, but I cannot tell you, people obviously are only hearing this, the audio of this, but my jaw has dropped. So this is from an old verse in Hisui. Where is this verse found? Like, which verse is this?
It's old verse 13, and old verse 13, if I remember right, is found on the Cotton Sedge Prairie.
Interesting.
And it's said that if someone isn't too familiar with the old verses, it's said that all the old verses were written by one person because they're written in a very similar way, language-wise.
Well, lots of people speculate Kogita wrote them, right?
Me too, of course.
Yeah.
It makes sense with the things written in there. And it talks about a person who's very lonely and almost as if they've seen people that they cared for pass away around them, as if they lived a longer life.
Yeah.
Which is one of the arguments I even used for arguing that Kogita does have this elongated lifespan.
Wow.
But it's interesting that an old verse, only one of them even, not even the whole thing, was found here.
And it's the one about mochi.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Interestingly enough.
Go on.
Oh, no.
That was the end of the thought. It's like, interesting enough.
That was a comment.
I'm like, there's more on the mochi. But it is interesting that mochi then did become a big feature of obviously the Kitakami DLC and the Petron and that kind of thing. The world of Kitakami has like a lot of ties to Hisui. Like, I think they're supposed to be quite close together. There's the Blood Moon Ursaluna, obviously Adamant's descendant Irida's down there. There's Hisui and Growlithe statues. I think they're the same kind of part of the world generally. But yeah, really, really interesting stuff. We've also got the potion bottles and the satchel. Survey Corps Satchel. A satchel that was supplied to members of the Galaxy Team Survey Corps. Should a Survey Corps member be knocked out while conducting a survey, the Survey Corps would rescue them and retrieve their satchel. Tales remain of a Galaxy Expedition Team member who boasted that he could increase the capacity of satchels so they could hold more items, which obviously we know did happen. That is a character. And what's interesting is, you know how sorry, my brain fried there. What's interesting is, you know that obviously it says that the Galaxy Expedition people would rescue the Survey Corps member and their satchel, but every time you get knocked out, you lose items. Do you reckon just every time you were rescued, people were pocketing? Like, they were just like, yeah, let's just pocket some of their Pokeballs and Max revives.
I mean, it was ancient Hisui, you know. I would have done it. Don't tell anyone, but I would have done it.
It was a pretty cutthroat time. Like, I think people would do it totally doing that.
I mean, previously it was said they had sparse resources, you know.
Right. So I reckon it's like it's when you lose, there's like a canon reason is that it's like, it's a fair trade. Like, we will come out to the field to rescue you, but you best be sure we're taking some of your resources. Like, maybe that's what happens
just
to
something
them.
random. We'll just take it.
Yeah, but it's
but
just fair game, you know? Like, that's what happens.
It's a courtesy, yeah.
You should still be grateful. We got the crafting bench from which Pokeballs are created, as well as a number of other items, other necessities. Crafting benches were set up in various locations, but these were also portable crafting kits that could be utilized wherever the user might be, which obviously, yep, big part of the game. Sorry, I keep opening the map. I'm hitting the wrong button. Still getting used to the new interface. But what we do notice about the crafting kit, now we can look at it up close, is that all the tools have like a black stone like hammerhead, and they have like these tools at the front of here, which you will know is Cleavor's all black augurite. It's the material mined out of the mostly the Orberg mine, and it's Cleavor's tools were used for like cutting and helping shape into the things that the people of history used. That's in its Pokedex. And of course, it would make sense if this is all made out of black augurite, the evolution item for Scyther into Cleavor, which is also why Cleavor might not exist anymore. It's because too many of these were made. Oh, fun little thing there. All right.
Reminds me of the Farfetch thing, actually. The
Farfetch thing?
Actually, yeah, the Farfetch, the population, the population almost died out, and that's why it's such a rare Pokemon nowadays. It's because it was overhunted. I'm not sure for what. I think it was something to do with clothing, but they were hunted to a point of almost extinction, which Cleavor might have gone past this point because all these crafting materials were needed.
Yeah, so there was no more black augurite for it to be to evolve. And you actually see black augurite, I believe, in the Blueberry Academy. I think it's in the overworld where you find Cleavor as well. Now we start getting into the good stuff. Obviously, the trainer characters, well, we think are both canon. I don't know. I mean, certainly their outfits are. Survey Corps uniform remained undamaged even when the wearer rolled through terrain to dodge attacks. It's obviously describing our player character withstanding heat and cold and Pokemon moves. Remarkably, the red cap is never supposed to fall off, and this one also says that the white, the white kerchief is believed to never slip off, no matter how the wearer moved. Super cool. It's a really super cool way of reusing models and stuff, is just putting them in like this.
Yeah, and that's another mention towards our player character as well. Again, something they haven't done until recently. This is a very obvious reference to both of our characters. I don't remember their exact like lore names, but
Ray and Akari.
Exactly, yeah, Ray and Akari. And the descriptions do say that the uniforms remain undamaged, which does make me believe that they're at least able to be preserved pretty easily. And if some of the other things here, which we'll talk about in a sec, are also able to be preserved, then this uniform would be one of them, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. It's cool to see. We're going to head into the really, really cool section now. The really super cool, mega cool, ultra section. And you know this section's cool because there's a red light over that corner. And there's literally, I was just looking, if people saw me, if they're watching this and they're not just listening to it, they saw me wander over. There's nowhere else has a red light. There's just that corner.
I didn't even realize it.
And I think that's where we're going to end up. I think that's kind of where the final stuff is. But first of all, we got some beautiful Hisuian kind of scrolls here. This one has some classic artwork with Starly. This one, Magnemite in ancient times, which is always good to see, to confirm that they're not a new thing. They've been around for a long time. And we have these hairstyles. So we'll start here. Oh, I did not mean to take a photo. I'm sure they'll kick me out of the museum for that. All of these describe hairstyles at the time. Displayed here are hairstyles said to have been available by the hairdresser in Jubilee Village, the early settlement home of the Galaxy Expedition team. It also said that changing one's hair color was possible at this establishment. Very cool. You wouldn't know that based on the images, of course, because they're all in black and white. Are these the hairstyles of the game?
I think so. If I remember right, they are actually... Are they?
I don't know. I couldn't decide if these were actually hairstyles in the game or whether these are just...
The one in the middle reminds me of the one I had. But I mean, it's a terrible haircut. I wouldn't do it again, but... Sorry to anyone who has that haircut, but, it does remind me of something that I wore. I'm not sure.
Part of me thought that this would be like... These would be like Game Freak employees. Like this would be a good way to do an in-world like nod to them. But I don't know. Maybe there is something here. Maybe we'll find something out. But I couldn't decide, and I've yet to look whether these actually are. If they are, I'll let you know on screen. If I can, I'll do a little comparison before I'll let this go live. But these are our hairstyles that Arazu would presumably help us with. Oh, that's hot. Okay, let's start. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's get into the deep stuff. We've got to talk about this flag. There's a flag right here that says the Galaxy. Oh, I'm not meaning to take a photo. The Galaxy Expedition Team flag. I get one more of those. One story claims that this flag was meant to show the Galaxy team was made up from people from different regions, so its design incorporates various elements, including Galarian letters. However, the truth of this tale remains unknown. The flag itself seems to be made using threads from Pokemon. So first of all, threads from Pokemon. What Pokemon do we think made these things together? And second of all, obviously, people from different cultures. Galar, you've got, obviously, that makes a lot of sense with both Lavington and also, as we're about to get onto, Commander Kamado. Threads from a Pokemon, though. What Pokemon would create threads like these?
I mean, I think, if I remember right, the clothing behind you right now actually has a description. Not that one, the one behind that. This one. And I believe this description actually has a Pokemon mentioned for its threads, for the kimono itself.
And is ornately decorated by showing much effort was put into its creation. Thus, it's assumed the kimono was quite costly, but it's unknown whether Kamado acquired it himself or was given it as a gift. The pattern provides evidence that Golduck could be found at the time the cloth was embroidered.
No, it was just Golduck mentioned, but I mean, obviously it wasn't feathers.
But it looks like it's made of a similar material, or a similar, certainly like a similar, it's got a similar color scheme, I suppose.
We can't tell if the silk back then was just natively used from the Hisuian silk from the Pokemon around it, or because it was stated that this kimono here was a gift, and with all the like Galarian and like other references in that game, if this was actually just a non-native silk, just imported.
True. Well, there's a whole thing about obviously Kamado's wife, which is a big part of the backstory of. Are you familiar with this? I think it's implied. Like I think so. On Kamado's desk is a picture of him and a woman in a sort of bridal outfit. I think, if I remember rightly, I'll put it up on screen. But the implication is that given that Kamado, and I did a video about this, kind of has this quite seething hatred towards Pokemon generally, that like the tragedy that befell him and the town that he and, is it Benny, I think, are from, the tragedy that befell them is as a result of something that a Pokemon did that ultimately also resulted in the loss of his wife. Maybe his wife gifted him this kimono. Kimonos are from Star Wars.
Kimono.
Kimonos are from Star Wars. We've also got those, but while we're on the topic of this character, I guess we should really be talking about this armor as well, which has a bunch of interesting stuff to it. Like this is actually going to come up in theories. The Commander's armor. A suit of armor worn in battle by Kamado, the first commander of the Galaxy Expedition Team. It is said to have come from the Galar region, which he did say it was Galarian armor. Though he himself is not Galarian, he speaks in a Kansai Ben dialect, which is Johtonian, and bears a strong resemblance to the armor worn by Wickstrom, an Elite Four member of Kalos, which is true. We've noticed that, immediately. The Kalos region's Pokemon League. When contacted for comment, Wickstrom said it was possible this armor was one of several suits his ancestors gave to the Galarians. However, it's difficult to verify such claims given the relations between Kalos and Galar during the era. Now, that to me is really, really interesting because it implies conflict between the two regions at least 150-ish years ago, around the time of Legends Arceus. Although Legends Arceus could be, I think it's anywhere between 300 and 150. It's anywhere in that zone.
I think it's between 200 to 300 years ago because of the...
Right.
There's a long thing with Spiritomb, and then a lot of people talking about Spiritomb.
Yeah, I can't quite remember off the top of my head.
It averages out to around 300 to 200. I lean towards 300. It's my personal favorite. But
you're right. It has to be in that. It has to be in that window. You're right. It's something to do with the word hundreds. I can't remember where it came up, but at least it's 150. But at most it's 300. But yeah, probably around the two. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It means that around that time, and you did actually mention that you thought there was a war in relation to the painting downstairs around 300 years ago with Puffin Palace. So maybe this is part of the theory threads that we'll be pulling on closer to the time. Wickstrom and Wickstrom's ancestors and the Galarian armor, but it seems that there was like tensions at the time, which is really cool to know. We love hearing about Pokemon War One day they'll tell us about the Kanto one. Do you have any other thoughts on that before we get to these three and then we get onto the big boys?
Not on the armor right now. I'm definitely going to do a theory on it, on maybe multiple theories on it, because there's just, in general, in this museum, there's so much lore,
there.
so much revealed in general. That I can't wait. I'm definitely going to do a theory on this.
No, he's not.
So,
he's not a general. He's a commander.
Right.
I look forward to seeing them. So now we've got these three, and these three have been, a topic of much speculation. For those of you wondering, like, who are these supposed to be? That guy looks like Alder in the middle. Oh, wait, is that Archie and Maxie? Like, and have they got, like, what looks like Pokeballs of some description on their outfit? They might not be Pokeballs. Now we can see them more clearly. They may just be ceremonial beads. But we've got three characters here who look a little bit like Archie, Maxie, and then Alder from Generation 5. I've had theories about Archie and Maxie being sent back in time, but it could just be ancestors of those characters. Alder is an interesting one as well. Like, I've done videos on that around the time of the release of Legends Arceus. But let's read what they have to say. Venerated portraits. Portraits said to have been displayed by the Pearl Clan and Diamond Clan. The individuals depicted within him seem to have represented the sun, sea, and land, but nothing concrete is known about their identities. What I love about sun, sea, and land is the sea and land is Groudon and Kyogre. The sun is clearly the middle here, but is that supposed to be Rayquaza because of the sky? Is that supposed to be Volcarona because it's the one associated with Alder? I've been rambling. What do you think? What's been on your mind?
Well, it's tricky because they don't, like, Maxie, Archie, and Alder, one of them doesn't fit, and it's obviously Alder. Not even are they from a different generation, but it's also like sun, sea, and land don't line up as they usually do. The only connection I could pull from that is that in the past, in Unova, it was stated in Volcarona's Pokedex entry that it was a replacement for the sun, which was presumably due to a volcano exploding back then and covering the skies in ash. And then Volcarona, which, by the way, another Dex entry of Volcarona states that it roosts around volcanoes, most likely being disturbed from this volcano exploding, then rose up and provided an artificial sun. This is, in general, the only thing I know about there being related to the sun other than Solgaleo, but Solgaleo doesn't fit at all here. So it's tricky trying to pull a connection between the sea and the land here as well, because technically, if we just are reaching, we could say that the land is, we have the quartet, the Landorus, Tornadus, Thundurus, Enamorus, and they're spirits of the land, and that they could represent the land. But then this person seems weird, and then if you look to the right, this person looks extremely like Maxie, and then also there's no connection to the sea. So I'm leaning towards Alder having something to do with Hoenn instead of these two having something to do with Unova.
I wonder about
or an ancestor of Alder.
If Volcarona, perhaps, that mythos of it replacing the sun, that we've long held as some kind of Unovan history, is actually Sinonian history. It's something that happened in a sort of pre-Hisuian era. If perhaps Volcarona is originally from ancient Hisui, and that perhaps that actually really did happen. I mean, you can imagine these clans. You can imagine these clans that, like, because how does a whole Pokemon replace the sun? Well, if it's doing it for a whole region, that's not going to probably work. But if it's just doing it for, like, an encampment, right? Like, if you've got, like, a tribal people that are out, couple tents, like, small village out in the wastes of Hisui, and they're the Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan, and maybe they're at war, but you'll notice that the middle guy, the sun guy, appears in both camps. Maybe this idea that, like, a Volcarona, this dude shows up one day with a Volcarona, and Volcarona replaces the sun just for these two groups of individuals, means that regardless of whether they lean in the direction of Archie or Maxie, or whichever leader they want to follow, everyone is grateful for the dude that bought the sun. You know, like, maybe it's something along those lines. And I'm saying Archie and Maxie. This could well just be ancestors of those characters. But it is interesting that even the description mentions them as representatives of the sea and land, suggesting that the early Diamond and Pearl clan may well have connections to some kind of ancient Groudon, Kyogre, Aqua Magma lineage, which kind of, here was my thought. I think the theory I did a long time ago was that after the events of Team Rainbow Rocket, the Archie and Maxie, which are based on their original designs, which is what these depictions are. They're based on the original designs, not the ORAS designs. If that perhaps the versions from Ultra and Ultra Moon were, pardon me, sent back to ancient Hisui and became the founders of the clans. Like, that was kind of my wonder. But then how older factors into that, I don't know. Like, I've done a number of theories. There are lots of old theories on the channel you can find. And I'm sure you'll have many more on your channel. I'm looking forward to watching. But yeah, I think this is going to be a source 100%. Of so much discussion. But yeah, I think that's that. Do you have any more kind of thoughts on this before we move on to the final part, the final round of exhibits?
Not right now. I'll need to talk about this further in a theory, though. Before that, I'll need to do some more research because there's a lot hidden in all of that. But there's really also a lot hidden to your left.
Yeah, like,
and that's something we should talk about now.
Well, we've got these two paintings, and then we got like two more last big bits to do, right? So two more paintings. Quickly, this one I think is probably the least interesting, right? This is the Ancient Quarry. It's cool. It's an area in Legends Arceus. You know, it's fine. Its name, as its name would suggest, it's used in ancient times as a stone quarry. The clean cuts of the rock surfaces signs advanced techniques, possibly skilled commander Pokemon. Yeah, probably. It's impressive. Even if it was in the modern age. Yep, that's fine. That's actually very uninteresting, I think, largely. Though I do wonder about these eyes that are in the photo.
That's what I was thinking.
There are definitely some kind of very interesting
I mean, the first thing I thought was Regigigas, but...
the stone quarry is a location, right? It is in... yeah, we have to pass through it.
Yeah.
But I can't remember quite what Pokemon are in there. In fact, I'm going to look it up quickly. Okay, so the Ancient Quarry has Zubat, so they could be Zubat and Golbat. It has, obviously the red eyes could represent alpha Pokemon, but there's, you know, so many pairs of them. Stunky or the Geodude line, Bronzor, they could be Bronzong. I think I remember Bronzong, you know, Bronzong do have red eyes, but they're definitely a little bit creepier than that. I think there's a bunch of Pokemon that can be found around the Ancient Quarry, actually.
And it's definitely it's different distances between the eyes, which makes me think that it's not the same Pokemon, or at least it's an evolution line.
Yeah.
So I think the theory with it being alpha Pokemon, or at least a representation of alpha Pokemon, makes sense, especially with it being reintroduced here in ZA. There's also like a small one down there. There's like 4 sets of eyes as far as I see here.
Yeah, 4 is what I'm seeing.
There's 2 to the right.
And 1 up there. So maybe a full family and then an alpha, maybe. Okay.
That could make sense.
And then, of course, we have the wonderful Spear Pillar, but, I mean, who captured this image or recreated this image based on just the descriptions? Because they did a very good job in terms of accuracy. You can even see at the bottom here, by the way, this thing that the guy's standing on, this is the Celestica flute. This is what has become the Azure flute later on. It's actually clearer on Spear Pillar. If you actually go to... Oh, hang on, that's really interesting. 1 second, I need to get this up. Hang on. No, I actually need to look at this now. 1 second. Spear Pillar. In BDSP... yeah, so the same image exists in BDSP, but in... If I'm not mistaken, hang on. What's it called? It's the Temple of Sinnoh? Temple of Sinnoh.
Yeah. Also.
I need to see the Temple of Sinnoh from that angle.
Is there even an angle where you can see it from? Well, not on the official art anyway, I don't think.
Not that I can see. I'm struggling to see. I'm sure I could do it if I just got in game. Okay, so here's what I'll say instead. Okay. What's really interesting actually about this thing that the guy's standing on is for a long time, if you look at the artwork as it appears in like Diamond and Pearl and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, people, we didn't know what it was. And then when we got the announcement of the Celestica flute that becomes the Azure flute, it actually makes a lot of sense that this would be the Celestica flute, given the context. But what doesn't make sense is that it would be there in the time of Legends Arceus. And right now, I cannot remember off the top of my head whether it is in Legends Arceus or not. So I would need to I'd need to go and have a look, and I'd also need to go and see if this order of Pokemon are the same. If it's like Weirdeer, Cleavor, which I think it is.
I think that is the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would not make sense if they changed it. It's such an obvious feature, and if I remember right, it's exactly the same. I know the Cleaver and the Weirdeer are the first ones, so
that
that's
makes sense,
correct at
because
least.
they're based on the order. But if we investigate this, it says Temple of Sinnoh, an artist's rendition of what the ruins known as the Spear Pillar would look like if restored. Oh, so it's actually, the idea is if they restored it. So I'm now really curious as to whether that floor engraving is there in Pokemon Legends Arceus. I'm going to have a look once we're done recording. It is said that these ruins once housed town statues, which they did, depicting Pokemon known as lords or ladies. However, the temple was severely damaged due to a battle between legendary Pokemon, with the statues also being destroyed. Records show the name Spear Pillar was coined by the Survey Corps of the time, which makes total sense. Yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, we know those events went down. We saw them.
Yeah.
We saw them firsthand.
We were there. I was there. No biggie.
We did it. That was our fault. Sorry.
And I guess no biggie. Look at that. Dialga and Palkia, the legendary Pokemon in Sinnoh. They say these Pokemon control time and space even now. Dialga's lost his tail. Palkia's lost its head fin. These are, I think, the same statues that have been moved. I don't think they're necessarily replicas. A statue depicting the special
they even
Pokemon
have,
Palkia.
if you can see, there's like cracks that they
Yeah.
super glued or something together.
This is these are the statues as they appear in the Cornet Highlands in Pokemon Legends Arceus, which again is a great way to reuse some assets. And then there's this. Let me now tell you for 20 minutes what all of these hieroglyphs mean. In another video. I did that video yesterday. I'm not going to do that right now, obviously. But there's these hieroglyphs. But what's interesting about this? Did you see the hieroglyph video I made last night?
Yes.
Okay.
Super interesting. Everyone should watch it.
Oh, thank you so much. What was interesting about it is I was being quite lazy with it. I was like, well, we kind of did this topic already, so I'm going to re-upload most of it. And then I thought, look, as a joke, I will use the deciphering that we used there to decipher whatever this says. But it's not going to say anything because all it is an example of one of each of the symbols. Except then when I started deciphering it, I was like, no, I think there's a coded message here. And if you're like, why would there be a coded message? Again, ancient Sinnoh hieroglyphs. These hieroglyphs were used in ancient Sinnoh and are said to depict both common Pokemon and those that were said to be objects of worship. Each glyph held multiple meanings, and they could be combined to create whole sentences. And I completely agree. And I don't think they would have put that without us wanting to go back to Legends Arceus and translate, which we've already done on the channel. And I don't think they would have then done that and not had a message here. And the message here is both very relevant. I'm not going to say any more. You can watch that video if you want after this one. But the message here is very relevant to either Pokemon Legends ZA, Arceus, or possibly Pokemon Legends ZA. But that's enough about that. I think people can see that in their own time. And we'll get on to the big final one. The big one that I think everyone wants to talk about. It's like the theory bait of the century. I was told that the person who wore this outfit donated it to the collection personally. Apparently, he gazed a while at those sketches by Professor Lamington with this nostalgic air too. Okay. Formal attire. This outfit is said to be worn by the ancient Sinnoh people during their rituals. This group worshipped the Pokemon Arceus as an almighty deity. It is thought that they showed their respect by mimicking Arceus' appearance and even reflected in the way that they styled their hair. This can only be information and clothes provided by Volo. What are your thoughts and feelings at the moment? Where's your theory crafting brain taking you?
When I saw this first, I had a lot of thoughts. Now I have even more. And quite honestly, I have so many ideas for theories for this one. And I don't even know if I just want to do one video about it because there's so much. It's interesting because it confirmed something in my first Volo video where I thought that he is immortal or long-lived. And it actually has something to do with that pendant on his chest. If you zoom in on that one.
Yep.
Do you see its color?
Yeah.
See how it's black?
Yeah.
Yeah. The original pendant he wore is blue.
What?
It's if the color was drained from his pendant because he's either no longer wearing it or something else. But it's interesting because Kogita was also wearing this exact pendant.
Oh, what a spot. Oh my god, I hadn't even realized that. That's so cool. Okay.
So there's a lot to do with this outfit, and I'm sure they did it on purpose because it's extremely obvious.
Sure.
So it's super interesting. I definitely want to do multiple videos on this. It's insane that they put it here.
Does Cynthia? I thought Cynthia also wore a pendant like this, but maybe not. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I think actually I do believe Cynthia.
Oh no, she does. She does. It's in her black
Yeah.
and white 2 outfit more than her. I believe Cynthia black and white 2. I'm just searching it up. No, it's like her. It's like the anime appearance version. It's oh no. It's just in the middle of her coat. I'm being really stupid. But yeah, there it's like gray. It's not like black is a new color of it. That's really interesting. I love the idea of Volo being an immortal or a time traveler. I've done videos of both of those. You did a video really recently on Volo being like involved in the Paldean stuff as well, right? With the Quartet of Ruin.
Yeah, that one was, I think, 2 months ago I did it. So without even knowledge of this. And it's interesting to see that, I guess some of it was confirmed, though, of course, a lot of it is still just a theory. But I'm happy that they at least confirmed that it was, well, we think it is Volo that brought his own clothing, which is also strange, by the way, because these clothes were obviously extremely important to him. This was his connection to Arceus. That he just donated them, that he put them away along with his pendant, presumably.
Well, this is it. Like, this is a sacred thing to him as well. Sorry, I'm getting very disconcerted by this onlooker whose eyes very much follow you. Did the other NPCs do that? I assume. Yeah, they do. Okay, that's fine. But maybe.
That is Volo.
That's Volo, right?
He's judging us.
Maybe we actually do way better theories than that. So, you've got a theory. You've got 2, I think I've mentioned in this video today. You've got one on Volo and the Ruinous Quartet. You've also got one on the Forces of Nature that just came out. Both of them are fantastic. You also did one on Arceus and the 4th creation. If you are watching this video, if you've got this far in, first of all, hi, you love Pokemon lore videos, so make sure you're subscribed. We're heading up towards 300,000 subscribers, which is incredible. But Amaze Dragon here, this is actually just our first collaboration. We have something way bigger in the works, but we wanted to just kind of get this out and talk about this because we're both such big enthusiasts of this. If you like Pokemon lore videos, you have to go to his channel and subscribe. He's literally, you started this year, right? When did you start?
Oh, I started in March?
In March.
One of those.
March or May.
March,
one
yeah.
of the M's. And in
March, it was March,
around
5 months
6
ago.
months, you're on your way to 35,000 subscribers now, is where you at?
Yeah, I think we just reached 34,000 subscribers.
Amazing.
And if anyone subscribed to me, thank you, I appreciate it.
And you've already got like a 1 million view video, right? Which, again, I've been doing
somehow.
this for 10 years. Never happened. I'm not bitter. Congratulations. Well deserved. Genuinely very well deserved. Please, everyone, go on over. If you are at this point in the video, if you're listening to this, head on over, subscribe. If you're like, I need convincing, just watch any one of his videos. You've got the Volo one, you've got the Arceus one, you've got the Forces of Nature one. Cannot recommend it enough. All links down below. Do you have any final thoughts before we kind of head out from here, though, on any of this stuff?
I mean, I don't think there's going to be anything final about this museum. We're going to go a lot further into this. I think both of us will, in multiple theories of ours, because this is not the last we've seen of any of this Hisuian relic, replicas, whatever is found here. Because of all places, I didn't expect it to be found in Kalos, in the A. But I'm happy they did, because it gives me a lot of inspiration and ideas to work from. And I'm sure it gives you a ton of ideas as well.
I'm on the same page. I just wish we could go over this rope. I want to know what's up there.
know.
I want to know what's up there. Here's what I will say. If for any of those theory videos, if you need any footage of this, I've now got well over an hour's of detailed footage of the
I'll hit you
museum.
up,
Everyone, if anything that you've seen here today gives you any pause for thought, please let us know in the comments. We're looking forward to covering a ton of theories, hopefully many of them together. And we will go back out and explore Lumiose. And you know what? For anyone who stayed to this point in the video, we are going to show up just like one more little reference to you. It's not in the museum, but it is a little bit later in the story of Pokemon Legends ZA. There's a giant picture of Professor Lavington in the room where you deal with the Gengars for Corbu. I got nothing on that. like maybe one of the Gengars is Lavington. But what did you get anything on that? You got any theories so far?
Well, when I saw it, no, I mean, it does bring up the fact that it's not just, first off, it's not in the museum. We don't have any Lavington picture in the museum itself. It's just in some random person's, well, now office. And we don't even know if he was the one who hung it up. So he could have just moved in, put all the boxes there, saw this weird picture, and was like, all right, cool, I guess I'll remove it later. So maybe the previous resident of this place was related to Lavington.
Maybe it was Volo's. Maybe Volo's in the city.
Maybe Volo.
We got to get out there. All right, everyone.
The DLC.
Links are in the description. Yeah, DLC still to come. Can't wait to do this again then. We need more museums in Pokemon.
We do. We need the third floor.
And a huge thank you to anyone who's supporting me on Patreon or as a YouTube member. Again, go and support Amazed Dragon. Links in the description and on screen now.